Boruto Uzumaki may have been wrong this entire time. Wrong that the very thing that has haunted him for 2 years had actually happened. What if the terrifying sensation he felt during the battle with Code, the feeling of death creeping in, wasn't actually death at all? What if it was something far darker? Imagine realizing that the god, the demon sealed inside of you, the one who destroyed countless worlds, was actually trembling in fear at his own death. That would change everything. And if that is the case, Boruto hasn't been running from his own shadow. Instead, he's been running from Momoshiki's and not even realizing it. Join me in today's newest Naruto Explained video where your OBC, your original Boruto chief, dives into why you should absolutely be paying a lot closer attention to the way that Momoshiki behaves in his next scene with Boruto, and why Boruto might have misinterpreted what was happening back when Sasuke fell in battle and Boruto tried to use the Coma Seal to help him. Also, if you haven't already, make sure to check out my new videos on Anime Explained for the 2 new videos on Dawn to Dawn and Sakamoto Days, or over on my Everything One Piece Explained channel, there's a new video on Big Mom that is up on the channel as well. So let's just jump right into it. So the fear that defined Boruto. I can't use the Coma Seal because Kawaki, it felt like Momoshiki was taking over. I felt like I was dying. Boruto's biggest hurdle since the end of part 1, it ain't been Code, it ain't been those Shinju clones, not even Kawaki, it's been himself. He's been scared like a little bitch when it comes to Coma. In the battle with Code, where he tried to back up Sasuke, Boruto said in a moment that he activated Coma, it felt like he was dying. He was petrified by it. He shut it down instantly, shaken to his core. This fear has followed him into Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. He's had 2 years without tapping into the Coma Seal consciously. But here's the twist. Boruto, in my opinion, might have completely misinterpreted what he felt. And I think the giveaway here was Momoshiki's strange depression. So allow me to explain. So I want you to fast forward to Momoshiki's recent words. This all but awaited debut of Momoshiki. He flat out admits that he was depressed because his plan to take over Boruto's body had failed. He was like, fam, I never should have brought you back to life. Like, me dying would be better than being stuck in this place. He is trapped. He's powerless. He's watching Boruto go stronger without him. He's watching Boruto's mental state of mind never truly break. That raises a disturbing question. If Boruto hasn't been using Coma, then what's this terrifying depth sensation that he felt during the Code battle when he did try to use it? What if it wasn't Boruto's life fading? What if it wasn't Boruto sensing himself dying, but instead that was Momoshiki's dread leaking through their shared connection? That was something that was set up at the end of Boruto Part 1, where their minds and everything were merging and crossing over and emotions were starting to be felt. That's something that Part 2 of Boruto's never touched on. We might start seeing it touched on again. I want you to re-examine the Code battle with me. So let's go back. That battle, it was chaos. Sasuke quickly realized they had no chance of victory against Code by his own words. That's why, oh, Sasuke took Code's eye. That's an anti-feat. You can't use that. If Sasuke could see by his own words they stand no chance against Code, surely Momoshiki did as well. Now think about Momoshiki's position and perspective for a moment. Even if he hijacked Boruto's 13-year-old body at that point, he couldn't defeat Code. That meant the worst possible fate itself. Boruto's body could then be offered to a Ten Tails. Momoshiki's essence, it would be erased completely at that point. He don't have a Coma on anyone else. He's not getting reborn. For someone like Momoshiki, who consumed countless chakra fruits, he viewed himself as being eternal. The thought of becoming food for the very beast that he once used as a tool, that's a cosmic irony at its cruelest, and that could be why when he brought Boruto back to life, he gave him the warning, you are now fodder for a Ten Tails, be careful. And it might explain why Boruto felt the creeping sensation of death. His soul and Momoshiki's souls, they were crossing over again in that moment. Something that we have seen before. The mind crossover evidence was right in our face in part 1 of Boruto. That ain't speculation. We've seen Boruto and Momoshiki's consciousness briefly overlap at multiple points. Momoshiki was manifesting outside of Boruto's body to talk to him, to taunt him, to gaslight him. Boruto was catching glimpses of the future through Momoshiki's Byakugan. You had the lingering space effect where Momoshiki brought Boruto back and he was able to freeze time. They have that shared mental plane that Boruto entered into to speak to Momoshiki. When Boruto says, I feel like I was dying, he may not have realized it, but That wasn't his fear. That was Momoshiki's existential terror bleeding through in that moment. That's a byproduct of trauma and misinterpretation by Boruto, and that's the tragedy. Boruto's been traumatized ever since that fight. Ask yourself a question: when was Boruto ever truly that afraid? In the manga, because I know in the anime he dealt with fear of karma, but in the manga, when was Boruto ever truly traumatized about using the karma seal? He never was. Like, he had the moment where he tells Sasuke to basically kill him if Momoshiki takes over, but that's a completely different thing. He's worried about Momoshiki hijacking his body. But when push came to shove, Boruto wasn't sitting there with his penis in his hands the way he is in Two Blue Vortex, super afraid to use the power that has been bestowed upon him. Part 1 Boruto, push came to shove, he cut that karma on and he took care of business. But that fight in general deeply traumatized him. Sasuke got sealed away. Boruto had to run away like a little whiny little bitch. He failed in his attempt to help. He's carrying around Sasuke's sword to try to live up to the promise he made to Sasuke before he fell. And he walked away convinced from that entire fight that karma was killing him if he cut it on. That fear, it turned itself into avoidance. And to Boruto's defense, even Kashin Koji's like, Boruto, you better not use the karma seal. So there might have been something to it. Simply what I want to do for this video is more so offer a different perspective to see where you guys' temperament is in the community, because Momoshiki's acting very suspect. 2 whole years of not using the karma seal, even though it's his most powerful weapon, all because he mistook Momoshiki's panic for his own. In other words, Boruto was haunted by a ghost that, in my opinion, might not have been his. And what this means for Momoshiki's character is pretty big. If this does hold true, it reshapes Momoshiki as well. For the first time, the predator has become a prey. The devourer has become the devoured. And this isn't just fear, it's also humiliation when you look at Momoshiki's character. Momoshiki is very arrogant. He's an Otsutsuki who lorded over civilizations before he eventually destroyed the planets in order to harvest a chakra fruit. He's someone who's eaten thousands of chakra fruits over a millennia. Suddenly being forced to face the fact that he could end up as nothing more than fodder for a Ten-Tails is not something that someone like Momoshiki could accept. Imagine the psychological weight. No wonder he's been sulking in Boruto's consciousness saying, fam, I should have just let you die. Because getting eaten by a Ten-Tails might be a fate worse than death itself for Momoshiki because of the humiliation. This now gives Momoshiki's character an entirely new dimension. He's not just a smug villain, he's an immortal being who for the first time in his life, he's tasted mortality. Then it gets deeper when you look at the Buddhist parallels, because Buddhism teaches that the fear of death is tied to attachment and the illusion of permanence. The more we cling to life, power, and ego, the more we suffer when faced with impermanence. Momoshiki is the embodiment of that attachment. He clung to power by consuming chakra fruits over a millennia. He clung to immortality by reincarnating through vessels. He clung to immortality by those chakra pills. He even clung to the idea of destiny by telling Boruto he was fated to lose everything. But karma, literally and figuratively, has caught up to him. Now he fears being devoured himself, undone by the very cycle that he imposed on others. Boruto is slated to be Momoshiki's vessel, have Momoshiki's DNA completely extracted and Boruto's soul being erased from existence itself with no way of coming back into life. And now Momoshiki, if he's eaten by a Ten-Tails, is about to suffer the same fate. That is karma, ironically, because he placed the karma on Boruto. What Boruto's feeling by feeling this fear, if it is Momoshiki's, it isn't just a narrative twist, it's a poetic and cosmic justice itself. It's the karmic wheel turning and Momoshiki finally suffering the very dread that he faced many others to feel. Now, in terms of why this matters for Boruto's future, it's pretty big. If Boruto eventually realizes this truth, it changes everything. His fear of karma wasn't truly his own. It was inherited by Momoshiki. It gives him leverage over Momoshiki. This also means that Boruto has the potential to truly master karma without the shadow of dread hanging over him. It also reframes Boruto's trauma, not as a weakness, but through empathy. He literally felt another being's terror, and narratively, it sets up the perfect dynamic. Boruto overcoming fear, not just for himself, but the parasitic alien inside of him. So maybe Boruto hasn't necessarily been running from death itself out of his fear of using karma. Maybe he's been carrying someone else's own nightmare, someone else's own fear of dying. And if that's true, then Boruto's greatest weakness could transform him into being able to use his greatest strength. Because the moment he realizes that the death he felt wasn't truly his own, but instead was Momoshiki's fear of being eaten by a Ten Tails, that's the moment Boruto finally breaks free from Momoshiki's shadow. Because it should be worth noting, Juro was not going to eat Boruto. Momoshiki was not going to get consumed. Juro is just going to nuke him into oblivion. That's why Momoshiki was okay with dying. He was not going to get devoured. And I think that's the poetry here. If Momoshiki, the devourer of worlds, is truly afraid of becoming prey, the question isn't whether or not Boruto can conquer his fear. It's whether or not Momoshiki can survive his own. Obviously, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. Click here on the left to check out more videos from Naruto Explained, or click here on the right to check out videos from other two anime channels where I talk about non-Naruto content. And obviously, if you like the video, hit the hype button because it goes a long way towards helping the video out in the algorithm.